is dated August 28 and 29. Displayed here are the list of news articles that we are going to discuss today. As you can see, for the convenience of the students, we can choose news articles from yesterday's newspaper as well. Now, before getting into the news article discussion, do subscribe to our channel for more updates. Hit the bell icon to get regular updates of the contents that we are posting every day. Okay. Look at this FAQ article from yesterday's newspaper. As you all know, ISRO is engaging in a wide range of activities which includes research, satellite system development, collaboration with the other agencies, rocket production, satellite operation, orbital debris management, and many more. The article tries to explain the future mission of ISRO after Chandrayaan. It also talks about the research projects that ISRO is currently working on. So we will see the important points mentioned in the news article. Very important news article. There might be a prelims question in this topic. Okay, so take a note of it. And as we all know, on August 23, Chandrayaan 3 is landers safely reached the moon's surface. With this, India became the fourth country to softly land a robotic device on the moon. This was the first successful soft land ending in the moon's south pole region. This success has actually enhanced the trust in ISRO at international level. With this achievements of Chandrayaan 3, ISRO is currently focusing on several key projects. We will see them one by one. First in the list is Gaganyaan mission is India's first human spaceflight mission. Under this mission, 3 flights will be sent into the orbit. There will be 2 unmanned flights and 1 manned space flight. The mission will send 3 astronauts to space for a minimum of 7 days. Note that the spacecraft will be placed in a low Earth orbit, in short called LEO of 300 to 400 kilometers. The mission is expected to be launched in 2024. This mission is a significant one because it will make India the 4th country in the world to send human to space. ISRO is currently conducting tests on launch vehicle Mark 3 LVM-3 to ensure the safety of Gaganyaan mission. Now, the second important project is reusable launch vehicle RLB-C. Currently, the rocket in ISRO can be used only once, but now they are developing a new launch vehicle called reusable launch vehicle, which can be used multiple times to launch the satellites into space. RLV is expected to lift 20 tons payload to Earth orbit. Its design resembles the NASA space shuttle with a winged body. Now, the third significant project is SCE 200 or the semi-cryogenic engine 200. So it is a powerful rocket engine that uses a refined kerosene and the light oxygen as propellants. The engine is being developed for use in the next generation of rockets. Now note that this engine will be used for Gaganyaan mission as well. The fourth important project is small satellite launch vehicle, in short called SSLV. ISRO is developing a small rocket than PSLV for launching small satellite. The SSLV is designed to be an affordable platform for many micro or nano satellites. It has a payload capacity to deliver 500 kg to low Earth orbit or 300 kg to sun synchronous orbit. Next important project that is under development is XPO-SAT-C. XPO-SAT stands for X-ray polarimeter satellite. It is a collaboration between ISRO and Raman Research Institute in Bangalore. The mission is aimed at studying the various dynamics of astronomical sources in extreme conditions. Note that it is the world's second polarimeter mission using X-ray. Another important future mission of ISRO is a lunar polar exploration, in short called LUPEX mission. It is a joint mission between India and Japan. The mission will send a lander and a rover to the moon's south pole The important thing about this mission is that it will demonstrate a night survival. See, the night on the moon lasts for 14 Earth days. During a lunar night, there is no light. The temperature could drop to 180 degrees Celsius. So this exploration will be crucial mission to demonstrate the survival of rover in this extreme condition. The lander will provide a proper power and shelter for the rover during the lunar night. The launch vehicle and the rover for this mission will be provided by the Japan, and lander will be provided by the ISRO. Lastly, we will see about Metalox, which is an important project that is currently under development in ISRO. See, Metalox is a type of rocket fuel that is made up of liquid methane and liquid oxygen. It is a new fuel and has several advantages over traditional rocket fuels like kerosene and hydrogen. It is more effective, safer and easy to handle than traditional rocket fuels. So these are all some of the important missions of ISRO. Make note of them and revise it whenever you get time. In this news article discussion, we saw about ISRO's project in human spaceflight, reusable technology and advanced engines, and efficient satellite launch. So with these learned points, now let us move on into the next news article discussion. Take a look at this news article from Sunday's newspaper. According to the article, the Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana in short called PMJDY completes 9 years of implementation today. So the article provides some data on the performance of the scheme. The news article says that as of middle of August, more than 50 crore bank accounts have been opened under Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana. The total deposit with the Chandan account has crossed 2 lakh crore rupees. So now the average deposit in PMJDY accounts has increased to around 4,000 rupees. Since the average deposit amount increased, the government said that it is now working with the banks and ministries to persuade Jandan account holders to opt for insurance schemes like Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri. This is about the article given here. Using this as an opportunity, let us revise few points about Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana. See, PMJDY was launched on 28th August 2014. It was started as a national mission to ensure the financial inclusion of all the households in our country. Here, the term financial inclusion means the method of offering banking and financial services to every individual in the society without any form of discrimination. In other words, the term financial inclusion refers to policy of extending banking, financial and insurance services to the poor sections of the population at affordable rate. And in that line, PMJDY NV charges to provide universal access to banking facilities. The scheme aims to make sure that every household has at least one basic bank account. Talking about the objectives of the scheme, the main objective of the PMJDY is to provide access to various financial services to the excluded section of the, that is the weaker section and low income groups under the scheme. Some of the financial services like basic savings account, bank account, access to credit, remittances, facility, insurance and pension are provided to the excluded section. If you ask, you can open bank account under PMJDY. Say under the scheme, any person who does not have any bank account can open up the basic savings deposit account. They can open an account in any bank branch or through a business correspondent called as Bank Mitra outlets. So what are the benefits of PMJDY scheme? See, the first benefit is that unbanked person will get one basic savings bank account under the Jandan scheme. The second benefit is that there is no requirement to maintain any minimum balance in the PMJDY account. Thirdly, a rupee debit card is provided to the PMJDY account holder. Then fourthly, accident insurance cover up to rupees 2 lakh is provided to the Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana account holders who are having rupee card. rupee debit card, and finally PMJDY accounts are eligible to get direct benefit transfer, in short called DBD, direct benefit transfer. So they can also enroll in some insurance schemes like Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, and so on. That's all you have to know about Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. You learned points. Now let us move on into the next news article discussion. Take a look at this data point. It provides some data about disease burden in India. In the world, recently a collaborative study was conducted by the Indian Institute of Science of Bangalore and the Leiden University of Netherlands. The study shows that there is a misalignment between the funded research area and health challenges in India. This means that India is not conducting research on the priority health areas. Rather, it focuses on inferior areas. The study also highlights that India's investment in healthcare research is very limited, which means that India is not focusing more on health research. So, the data point highlights that all the above mentioned factors have contributed to the disease burden in India. This data point provides some valuable information about the burden of various diseases. So, we will understand these points in detail. See, to have a better understanding about the data, we should first understand what is disability, adjusted life, in short called DALY. This is because the data that we are going to see now is expressed in DALY as basically the disability adjusted life. Here is used to calculate the disease burden. It is nothing but the sum of years that the person loses in his life due to the premature death. And disability, to put it in simple word, DALY is expressed as a number of years lost by a person due to ill health, disability or early death. Generally, the last year is compared with a standardized life expectancy to arrive at a DALYs. If you find it little bit confusing, let me explain it with a simple example. With an example, now let us consider a person named Arun. While he was 30, he met with an accident. He was severely injured. Because of severe injury, the doctor advised him to take battery for 2 years, as he wasn't able to work for 2 years. Here Arun has lost 2 years of productive life, and let us assume that Arun died at an age of 55. See, in India the life expectancy is around 70 years of age, but Arun has died at the age of 55. So he lost another 15 years due to the premature death. Now using this data, we will calculate the disability adjusted life here of Arun. Before that, just take a look at this formula. To arrive at Delhi, we have DLY, we have to add the years lived with the disability and the years of life lost. Now coming to Arun's case, the Arun had died life 2 years with the disability and lost 15 years of life due to early death. We have to add these two. Now if we add, it would be 17 years, right? So the disability adjusted life here of our own is 17 years. Here Arun might have died early because he might have affected with the disease like cancer, TB and so on. Like this, the way DLAY helps us to understand the various disease burden. Now let us see what the data actually indicates. Look at this first chart. This chart shows India's relative disease burden against the health research publication in the same period. The relative disease burden is represented in dark sky blue color, and the research efforts is represented in the light sky blue color. By looking at this chart, we can observe some misalignment. See, some diseases like diabetes mellitus, oral condition and kidney diseases are having a high share of health research publications, but it is disproportionate to their burden. For example, let us take a diabetes mellitus. The share of diabetes mellitus is total disease burden, which was just 3.1%, but its share in research publication was 7.5%. On the other hand, the share of neonatal condition in the DLAY was 12.3%, but its share in the publication was only 1.3%. Here we could witness a mismatch, right? So from this we can say that India is not conducting research on priority area. This is about chart 1. Now look at this chart 2. This chart contains 5 subcategories, subcharts. These charts show relative disease burden against research efforts for certain disease. It encompasses data across various groups like high income group, upper middle income nations, India, and low income countries. Look at this chart 2a. This chart shows the relative disease burden against the research efforts for neonatal conditions across regions. Here the research share remains the same across different groups of countries, but if we take the disease burden, it is much higher in India and low income countries. So we can say that India is performing poorly in research on neonatal conditions. Look at this 2b chart. This chart shows that relative disease burden against research efforts for cardiovascular disease. Here we could see that research share is low across all economic group despite the high disease burden, or DALY. For cardiovascular disease, the research efforts are low. Now coming to chart to see this chart shows the relative disease burden against research efforts for cancer, and the disease burden for cancer is low across the group, but there is a substantial research attention on cancer disease. For example, in India, cancer contributed to less than 5% of disease burden, but they accounted for nearly 22% of its research publications. Now moving on to the chart D2. This chart shows that relative disease burden against research effort for tuberculosis. Here we could witness that there is a good match between the disease burden and the considerable research focus across various groups. But if we take India, the disease burden of TB is around 7% and the research focus is around 5%. It is said that the rising threat of multi-drug resistant TB enhances the disease burden of TB in India. Now coming to the final chart, 2E shows that relative disease burden against research efforts for malaria. Here we could witness all the groups performed well. India is also focusing more on the research, but the problem here is that the disease may possess a considerable global threat. If we see the world average disease burden is higher than that of research efforts. So the world government must collaborate to tackle malaria in future. That's all regarding this news article. With this learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Take a look at this news article. It talks about Aditya L1 mission of ISRO. See, this mission was expected to be launched next month to study the sun. The news article mentions about the payloads, launch vehicles, and the importance of the mission. So in this news article, the discussion, we will understand some of the important points mentioned in the news article. Firstly, let us start with the basics about Aditya L1 mission. See, Aditya L1 will be the first Indian mission to study the sun. In Sanskrit, Aditya means the sun. That is why the mission is named Aditya. The satellite will be placed at the Lagrangian point 1. This point is 1.5 million kilometer from the Earth. It is because of this point the mission is named as Aditya L1 mission. So what is the speciality of placing the satellite at L1 point? See, at this point the satellite has a major advantage of continuously viewing the sun without any obstruction or eclipse. The spacecraft will carry 7 payloads to observe the photosphere, chromosphere, and outermost layer of the sun using the electromagnetic and particle detectors. So this basic information, let us discuss the important points mentioned in the article. See, the payload of Aditya L1, the payload of Aditya L1 mission, the payload of Aditya, the payloads of Aditya L1 mission are developed by Space Physics Laboratory (SPL), is a national laboratory of the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center (VSSC), and it is located in the Thiruvananthapuram, and it conducts research in atmosphere, space, and planetary science. The Space Physics Laboratory contributed to the payloads for Chandrayaan-3. They were Chandra's surface thermophysical experiment, in short called as CHASTI. Radio anatomy of moon-bound hypersensitive ionosphere and atmosphere, RAMPA. Just now I said Aditya L1 mission has totally 7 scientific payloads, right? One of them is plasma analyzer. Packing for Aditya, in short called as PAPA. This payload is developed by this Space Physics Laboratory. Its purpose is to study the composition of solar wind and enhance our understanding of it. Here the solar wind means the continuous flow of charged particles emitted by the sun. This PAPA payload will investigate the energy level of the electrons as well as energy and the mass of the protons and ions within the solar wind. The study will also find the changes in the direction of the solar wind. ISRO will also use an Excel version of the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle PSLV to launch the Aditya L1 spacecraft into a low Earth orbit. Once launched, it will require 125 days to reach its destination at a Lagrangian point L1 point. Since Aditya L1 is going to launch next month, it is very important to know specific information about Aditya L1 mission. That is why we choose this article from today's newspaper. So these learned points, now let us move on into the next news article discussion. Take a look at this text and context article. According to the article, in the past couple of years, the central government's budget allocation to the Ministry of Minority Affairs has declined. In addition to this, the government has discontinued the 2 key educational schemes for religious minorities. This is about the article given here. So in this context, we shall focus on why scholarships are provided for religious minorities, what are the scholarships that are extended to the religious minorities, some evidences of citing the degrees in the budget allocation, and finally the need for educational scholarships. Now before that, syllabus relevant to this news article is highlighted here for your reference. You can go through it. First, let us see why scholarship are provided to religious minorities, mainly Muslim community. See, India is a diverse country with people practicing various religions. It is home to over 30 crore people from religious minority communities. Muslims are the largest religious minority. Despite being the largest minority community in India, Muslim in India face challenges in various sectors. First, take the Sachar committee report. The Justice Rajendra Chachar committee was constituted by UPA government. This committee was constituted to look into the social, economic and educational standing of the Muslims in India. In its report, the committee mentioned that Muslim minority was neglected in almost all dimensions of the development. The report stated that by and large Muslim rank somewhat above SC or ST but below Hindu OBCs and other minorities across all indicators. So to address this parity, scholarship must be provided. The next reason is that Muslim in India are mainly engaging in informal jobs which lack the social security. This is mainly due to the facts that literacy rate among Muslims is low. As per the census 2011, the literacy rate of minority communities like Christians, Jains, Sikhs and Buddhists is higher than the national average of 72.98%. Except Muslims, which is 68.54%. The reasons why literacy rate is lower among Muslims is due to lack of affordability and higher dropout rate. So to improve the affordability and incentivize the Muslims to get educated, the government must provide some incentives like educational scholarships. Additionally, scholarships will also ensure the retention of Muslim students in educational institutions and address the issue of dropouts. Education alone can break the cycle of poverty and lack of opportunities faced by minority students, and to improve the access to education, scholarships must be provided. It will also help Muslim students to get into the formal employment. Next scholarship helps reduce disparities. Say educational scholarships help bridge the educational and socio-economic disparities between the communities. Finally, providing scholarships signals the government's commitment to inclusion and upliftment of minority communities. This helps in fostering social harmony and equality among the communities. So these are the reasons why scholarships are provided to the religious minorities, mainly Muslims, to address the problems faced by the minority communities and give minority community a focused attention. And the Government of India in 2006 established the Ministry of Minorities of Minority Affairs. The government also formulates various welfare programs with a special emphasis on religious minorities. These schemes and programs have been designed to address the educational disparities among religious minorities in India by providing financial support. Now let us see some of these welfare programs. See, the first one is the pre-metric scholarship scheme. The scheme aims to provide scholarship to minority students in class 1 to 10 to encourage education. Financial incentives in the range of rupees 1000 to 10,700 per candidate is provided under the scheme. But recently the government has discontinued scholarship for class 1 to 8. So currently minority students in class 9 and 10 only are provided scholarship under the scheme. The second scheme is post-metric scholarship scheme. So as the name indicates, the scheme provides a scholarship to minority students in class 11 and above. This scholarship is provided to ensure access to quality higher education. Financial incentive in the range of 2,300 rupees to 15,000 rupees per candidate is provided under the scheme. Recently government increased the funding for the scheme. It has increased from 515 crore rupees to 2,665 crore rupees in current fiscal year. The next one is the merit-cum-means scholarship scheme. Through this scheme, the government aims to provide access to professional and technical courses at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. See, under the scheme, eligible candidates, that is meritorious students, are reimbursed full course fees or 20,000 rupees per annum. Recently, the fund allocation for the scheme was significantly reduced. It was reduced to 44 crore rupees from 365 crore rupees. The next scheme is the Maulana Azad National Fellowships, in short called MA. Enough though, through the scheme, the government aims to provide financial assistance to research scholars pursuing MPhil and PhD. Under the scheme, the government provides a grant of 31,000 rupees for junior research fellows or senior research fellows. Stipend law 35,000 rupees per month is provided. Till now, the scheme has benefited over 6,700 candidates. But recently, in 2022, the government has discontinued the scheme. And the next game is this scheme provides a financial support for economically weaker minority students who aims to pursue studies overseas. Under the scheme, the government provides interest subsidies on their educational loans. But this scheme was also discontinued from 2022. Likewise, there are other schemes like Begum Hazrat Mahal National Scholarships National Scheme, then Navya Savira program, and scheme like providing education to Mother Shahas and minorities, in short called SPEMM. So these are all some of the education related programs established for the welfare of minorities. However, you can clearly notice that except for the post-metric scholarship scheme, all the other programs have either witnessed a budget cut or they are discontinued. The Center for Budget and the Governance Accountability is 2022's report has highlighted this. Only 2022 CBGA report highlighted that the budget expenditure for minority welfare was not in line with the proportional representation. The report also highlighted that the most of the allocated budget is utilized only in the last quarter of the financial year. This delayed utilization of funds has also resulted in delayed scholarship disbursement. hampering the academic progress of beneficiaries. The decline in funding has led to some other negative impacts on religious minorities as well. Other narrative impacts include reduced benefit, scholarship, and reduction in access to education and opportunities. Finally, if you ask how these issues can be addressed, see the following recommendations of Niti Aayog can be the first step. Firstly, Niti Aayog suggests enhancing pre-metric, post-metric, and mean scholarships along with a national overseas scholarship through a 15% annual increase from 2019 to 2020. Then, to promote the gender equality, they recommends a 10% annual increase in the number of scholarships for girls from minority communities. Implementing these Niti Aayog recommendations can effectively enable the government to tackle the educational disparities experienced by the religious minorities in our nation. So that's all regarding this news article. So these learned points, now let us move on into the next part of the news article, which is a preliminary practice question discussion. Today we have two questions. First question is regarding solar wind. You have to find incorrect option here. Option C is the correct incorrect option. C. Solar wind emerges from the sun's outer layer called corona, and it does not emerge from sun's core region, except that all the other options are correct. Regarding solar wind, we saw that in news article discussion part itself. So the correct answer for this question is option C. Now moving on, this question is about Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. The question asks PMJDY has been launched for option A, providing housing loan to poor people at cheaper interest rates. Option B, promoting women's self-help group in backward areas. Option C, promoting financial inclusion in the country. And option D, providing financial help to the marginalized communities. See, here the option C and D are a little bit confusing. Actually, the correct answer option is C, promoting financial inclusion in the country. C, the aim of the scheme itself to avoid discrimination in financial inclusion. So the correct answer for the question is option C. Displayed here are the mains practice questions for you today. Just go through the questions, try to answer it in the comment section. With this, we came to the end of the news article discussion. If you like the video, hit like, do comment, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Now, thank you for listening. Have a nice day.